Welcome back to another episode of Girls & Co. We have an OG episode, just us three. When's the last time we did this?
Oh my gosh, years.
I have no idea.
Years.
I have no idea.
It has been a while, so figured we'd get back to our roots, talk some baseball, and also Summer I Turned Pretty. First 3 episodes.
Yes.
We'll
So
do that
excited.
at the end.
So much to say.
So much to say. We have not had an episode for 2 weeks, so a lot has happened. Sam went to an All-Star game.
Yes.
How was it?
Yeah, Seattle
Tell
was
us about
great.
Share everything.
Seattle was great. It was a quick trip, as All-Stars usually are.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously flew out all the way to the West Coast, as the only All-Star games this company has done. The flight wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that went well, and then met Rose and Chris at the Rose and Plouffe at the airport. Jake and Jolly were already there because they did some super mega baseball thing beforehand. And yeah, got right down to business when we landed, set up the studios. Canobio made his first appearance on Talking Yanks. And yeah, and then everyone went to the Derby, shot some stuff. It was really cool. I guess the one Sunday when we got there, me, Jolly, Dan, Kai, Zach went to right around T-Mobile and filmed Dan on the Streets. And that was really cool. It was a really nice vibe around there because I think there was fan fest activation stuff happening. So it was a lot of people in jerseys and a lot of people excited, a bunch of people like recognizing someone. Maybe Dan was wearing like a Jama Media hat, so a lot of people recognized us. That was cool. And I had never seen a Dan on the Street live, so that was really fun seeing Dan in his element. I loved that. Yeah, took everyone to the Derby. It was super. I kept saying this all week I was there, but dropping them off at the Derby, I always expect like how it was in LA. Like, you know, you have to drop them off far away. It's chaos. There's road closed and traffic and all that.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. I dropped them off essentially at the front door of T-Mobile Park twice. I dropped everyone off, and then I came back to the house, got Bill, dropped Bill off, and extremely easy. It was crazy. Same with pickup. So that was a huge plus to the city of Seattle. And yeah, it looked really stunning. Like there was one time when I was leaving the stadium, I like drove up this like highway overpass, and then on my left, T-Mobile came into view, and it was huge, and like all the rafters and the metal, and then just the pretty like nature background. It was really
That's sick,
jaw-dropping. And then had the event the next day, which was a lot of fun. It was the longest we've done one of those events because there's 3 tiers to it. So that was just really cool. It was a good venue. There was, you know, like some mishaps as there always are, but everyone just powered through, and people were very understanding, and chose to focus on the good parts of it and what we were able to offer, which was very nice. But yeah, it's a lot of fun seeing people who have come to all 3 years of these events and catching up with people, and, you know, seeing some of the names that we see all the time online is always the best part. And I think rejuvenating for, you know, the people who are in it every day and who are on camera and taking the brunt of like news as it comes and opinions and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, and then just right back to business. Now have warehouse stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, Jess was there, but Jess was like doing whatever she does on trips. She just like ventures out and goes in and literally lives her best life. So you were just surrounded. It was just like a bros trip.
Sam and the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam and her boys.
Didn't really think about that. But yeah, you know, everyone's great and nice.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know if I told you guys this, but it was really funny. So we had 2 separate Airbnbs. And then so the second one, it was me, Jolly, Dan, Kyle, and Bill. And so we like went to the first house, dropped stuff off, went to go check into ours, and it was really nice. Like the boys were trying to be so sweet, like, "Oh, Sam, like go pick your room first, like you have the house." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." So then I go in, and like there's 3 levels, and then a fourth of like a rooftop deck. Mm-hmm. So the main bottom level had 2 beds. I was like, oh, I don't want to be in a bedroom in the bottom level. Like that just kind of creeps me out, even though it was safe and all that stuff. I just would rather not. So then second level was kitchen and living room, and then the third level was 2 more bedrooms and then the roof. And then so we were like, everyone was just kind of walking up and like taking it all in and being distracted. And I said, like, oh, I'll take one of these upper rooms. And like, yeah, sure, okay, great. And then we all like, go up, see the roof and all that stuff. And next thing you know, both the upstairs rooms were taken, which is so fine. I did not care, but it was so funny how they were trying so hard to like be sweet and accommodating, and then they just lost track of like everything. So I was on the bottom room, which was so fine and such a great room, and like I don't care at all. It was really funny.
That is so funny.
But yeah, it was good overall, and it was fun. Seattle was really nice. I probably never would have gotten there on my own. So
yeah,
it was nice that this was the opportunity that took me out there.
You lived there, right?
I did live there, yeah, for like 7 months.
Okay.
I sent them one recommendation, and it was an ice cream place with a specific order, which I'm sure no one got.
Did you send an order too?
Yeah, lavender ice cream.
Oh yeah,
with,
I would
with
not
lemon sauce.
I would not have gotten that.
It's like a recommendation from them, like
yeah,
whatever. I've been thinking about this ice cream since the day I moved out of Seattle. It's Molly Moon's. If anyone's listening and goes there, I'm sure you can relate. Everyone there loves Salt and Straw, which is like the Northwest ice cream. Yeah. I was like Molly Moon's ride or die, and I have not been back since I lived there in 2016. So I texted Sam one day and I was like, "Here's an ice cream rec," and they all went.
That's we did, good. Yeah, because it was luckily right. Couple blocks away from where the venue was. So after our event was over, I was like, all right, let's go get ice cream. And I was like, oh, I know this place is right here. Mike DeLeon sent us a recommendation that we weren't able to get to of Dick's Burger Spot or Dick's Drive-In or something.
Nice.
So good. It's like a Seattle staple. Yeah. It's literally like burgers and fries.
That's it.
And didn't he text you guys saying like, get a burger, fry, and a Coke, and like that's the actual
that's
only
like
things on the
literally
menu?
all you can get.
It's literally all you can get.
I felt so bad coming back here, and I said, Mike, I'm sorry, like we weren't able to get there, and I know he was bummed. But at least we got one of them.
That was a good rec from Mike.
Yeah, it's hard because not everyone like. I try to pick places that has a variety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Trev eats healthy and Bill eats healthy. Yeah. And, we need to have something for everyone. But yeah, it was good overall.
Nice. I'm glad the trip went well. I truthfully don't remember what I did the past 2 weeks outside of a trip, but that's whatever. Do you remember what you did?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No. Like not even like.
Oh, I had a family reunion.
Oh yeah. And all your friends got invited to it. Yeah.
Yes, I had a family reunion.
How'd
I
that
met
go?
like so many third cousins I had never met before.
Perfect.
From like all over the place.
We love growth.
I would say I only knew like 30% of said family reunion, and it was like at my close family's house. Like it was at my aunt's house, who I'm very close with, and all these people were there. And my brother and I looked at each other at one point. We're like, "Who the fuck is that?
Are we related to these
what are we doing here?" But it was really nice, and my mom and my brother flew in.
Nice.
And the three of us haven't been together since Thanksgiving of 2021.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So long.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it was really nice. And then I don't remember what I've done since then. I don't think much.
Well, you're about to go on vacation.
I'm going to Wildwood this weekend.
Yay!
First timer in Wildwood. Apparently that's a big deal. I don't know. My friends go like every summer, and I just haven't really been around. It's a Jersey Shore. It's just a beach at the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
All the way down at the bottom.
Got it.
Like the very bottom is Cape May. It's one beach above that.
Got it.
It's like very far away. I don't know why. Like there's so many beaches closer than Wildwood. I don't know why we're going to Wildwood, but it's like a staple in my friend group. And I've never been.
It'd be fun.
But Kyle's parents live in Wildwood. And him and Andrew are also going this weekend. So I think we're going to hang.
Oh, that'll be good.
So,
we love that.
Yeah. You were like all over the country.
Yeah, I went to Arizona, LA, San Diego, and Colorado.
Yeah, what the hell?
Well, so I planned this trip. So I had a wedding in LA on July 1st, which flying to LA for the 4th of July weekend is very expensive. So I was like, okay. And I found out about the wedding knowing that the All-Star game was in Seattle. So my worst thought was, I don't want to fly out to the West Coast and then fly back home for 3-4 days, who knows how long, and then turn around and fly back across to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, there's a lot of friends over there that I like never get to see. Let me just like plan a trip over there, and then if I need to go to Seattle, I can, because I'm on that side of the country. And if not, then I'll just fly back. So that's why I planned the trip like that. Shit wore me out.
Yeah, dude. You were everywhere.
It, like...
Every time you posted a story, you were in another state. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, We did a lot. There was a lot of stuff. I got like 3rd-degree burns from the sun. Oof. And my friend Sydney she's convinced it's because we were on a mountain, we were closer to the sun. And I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. But
honestly, no, I'm pretty sure that is true. That like elevation has an impact on.
It's like you're closer to the sun.
But also, isn't it because the air is like thinner? I think there's like a lot of science behind
I think there's science behind it. I don't think it's just because like logistically, like I can see the sun like closer. Yeah. Like, so yeah, that was my trip. It was a lot, but it was good. Good to see people. Good to see friends. So baseball. We want to talk baseball first before Summer I Turn Pretty.
Yeah, let's talk about baseball. It's been a while.
We haven't talked about baseball in a long time. First half review. Thoughts, disappointments, surprises. 2 disappointments.
Yeah. Well,
in the
2 disappointments in this room.
In the state of New York. Let's start with the Mets.
You know how I feel about the Mets. It's always a state of disappointment. So, like, I really just don't. I simply don't care. To be quite honest, I really don't care. There are things that I'm excited about this team, like Francisco Alvarez is so good, and like that's fun that we've gotten to see so much of him. You know, I just like I don't care. Like I know that sounds like so annoying, like such a stupid answer. Like I don't care. This team is so bad. They're historically so fucking bad. They're so annoying to watch every night that I don't watch anymore. I don't check the updates. I get the final score, then I'm like, oh, they lost again. Yeah. I don't care. I just like check out at this point in the season if it's not looking good.
It makes sense.
We spent all that money. Obviously, the talent is there. I have no idea what's going on. Obviously, no one has any idea what's going on. And yeah, I still want them to extend Pete Alonso, even though he's having a terrible year. I feel like I don't know if it's, and everyone wants them to fire Buck. I am not into letting go of managers midseason. I think way too much of the blame gets put on managers.
Yeah.
I feel like even at the end of this, like I don't know. There are only certain things you can put on the manager. I had this discussion with someone in the office yesterday about Aaron Boone, because Yankee fans are up in arms, which we'll get to about Boone.
Yeah.
There's only certain decisions that managers make that impact the game. If you want to talk about like bullpen management, lineup, like actual lineup construction, and like if you want to talk about a situation where Boone doesn't walk Ohtani, those are things that the manager is responsible for.
Correct.
Sending your best 9 guys out there and them not producing is not the manager's fault.
No.
So I have a hard time with like the Buck criticism, and people are like, well, something's got to change. Yeah, they need to play better. Like to me, that's not, I don't think firing the manager, especially a manager that a lot of players love and respect and has been in the game for so long, is going to shake up the clubhouse in a way that's going to be positive.
I agree.
To me, like, I think it is what it is. They just need to play better. They get paid millions of dollars to play baseball. They need to play better.
Yeah.
That's where I fall on that.
Do you think that the team has the talent and they're just simply not performing? Like, do you think it's a lead, like a internal clubhouse, like a leadership issue, like a vibes issue more so? I know that sounds like weird to like blame like losing baseball, but like it's something that's off.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because when they're winning, the vibes look great. It's not like, I don't feel like it's an awkward group of guys. They seem to vibe really well when the team is winning. I mean, you have Jeff McNeil. Last year he was the batting champ, so obviously we know what he can do. Brandon Nimmo just got $1 zillion extension because he's really good. We obviously know what Pete Alonso can do. Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. We're talking about proven MLB players. I don't know why they can't put it together.
I mean, I did think, and we kind of talked about this, we don't have to dive into it, but when we were at the McNeil Topgolf event, it was interesting not to see any other guys there outside of like Pete Alonso. And I remember when I was at the next golf event, I think the following week, I believe, or 2 weeks after that, I was talking to one of the players, managers, agents, something like that. And he was kind of alluding to the fact that there's something off, missing like clubhouse vibe wise. And that's like why things are just like not syncing. He didn't give me any other details, but I mean, it makes sense. Like if you have that talented of a team, like who is like the rah guy? Like who is like the, you know, the vibes guy? Cause I don't know.
In my head, I would say it's probably Francisco Lindor.
Right.
And Eduardo Escobar is like very much a guy like that. He's obviously gone. But he wasn't an impact piece on this team the entire time he's been here, to be honest. He had little spurts of really good moments, but other than that, it's not like he was making a huge difference on the field. Vibes-wise, him and Lindor, I would say, would have been the guys.
That's what I think, too.
But I don't think Escobar leaving has anything to do with anything, and they weren't playing well before that. To me, Lindor is your vibe guy. He's your veteran. He's one of the best shortstops in the game. Like, that is your vibe guy. I don't know what's going on with them. Like, I have obviously no one knows what's going on with them, or they would have fixed it. Mm-hmm. So
it is interesting, though, because it is pretty rare. Like, I mean, it's not rare, but it is some sort of rare to have a team with that much talent, with that much, like, excitement going into the season, and then for them to be playing, it's not just, like, it's just bad.
It's bad.
It's not, like, well, that game, you can make that excuse. In this game, you can make that. It's just bad baseball.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for emotionally checking out. That's what I do for Tennessee games every single year. So
yeah, I guess it gets to a point where you don't want to care.
It becomes self-harm at some point.
Yeah, like I want them to do well, but if they don't, like I'm not living and dying by how well this team does. Like I feel very level-headed about sports in general. Like my day-to-day doesn't change based on how good they are. I want them to be good. I'd feel happier if they were good, but I'm not sad because they're not good.
Right.
It is what it is.
True. That's true. Sam?
Yeah. I'm in a very similar spot to you, and I think in my head too, it's like, okay, well, to some degree, the Yankees clearly don't care, so why am I supposed to care if you aren't doing all that you can to make this a watchable product? Jake had a really good tweet the other day after just another awful loss, and it was like, Yankees front office, shocked. Yankees manager, shocked. Like Yankees coaching staff, players, shocked. Fans, not shocked. Like,
I saw that.
Saw this coming from a mile away because like you just didn't have the pieces in place. You didn't have the backups in place. You didn't have the right mindset or way of going about the season where you have to try and care every game and not just care for the first month and then care in September and October. That's just not how it works. And, like how, we're dealing with a lot of injuries, and that's great. And when you get guys back, it's rejuvenating and you're back to where you are. But then it's like some of the guys we're waiting for to get back is like Jake Bauers, Greg Allen. Like those aren't the names that's going to save the day. Right. Like that's our depleted bench coming back. Like that's not a good thing to be hoping for, So I think that's tough. And yeah, it's not the same. Like, it's really bad, obviously, how they can't do anything without Judge. Like, if Judge doesn't play and Judge is hurt, Rizzo just can't fathom, like, being part of his team. Like they're just too attached at the hip, and it's so scary when it's built so much on one guy that he can just completely, tip everything. It was, I guess, somewhat refreshing to see that they changed the hitting coach. They did that while we were in Seattle. So it's like, all right, at least you're doing something. But then to bring on Sean Casey seemed like a kind of a strange choice. And that, he's maybe somewhat of just a boon where he's the new age, like people pleaser, friends with the players, not, kind of like a Joe Torre type of coach. That maybe is, what they've been missing for so long. So it's like they kind of did it by pulling somewhat of a Steinbrenner move of being reactionary and say, hey, you aren't up to snuff. I'm going to cut you in the middle of the season and like you're done. But then it just I don't know, it seemed like they didn't finish it by choosing a really good replacement. I've obviously no idea what went into the factor of hiring Sean Casey. Right. So, maybe they obviously know 1,000,000% more than me, but I don't know. It just kind of seemed a little bit like you're placating the fan base. So it's tough. And then there's guys, like Cole or guys who have good moments and who are doing well, and you can't do it by yourself.
No.
And yeah, it's just been a bummer to watch. They keep outdoing themselves for bad games and bad losses. And yeah, it just seems like they don't get it. It doesn't sink in. They don't think it's an issue. They think they'll be fine and can ride out the bad stretch, but like you're in last place. Like it's been, all the stats are coming out, just the lower and lower they sink in the standings. It's been since 1990 and
like things are like
stuff
looking bleak over there.
You can't get worse than last place. You physically can't get worse than last place. And yeah, just that doesn't seem to be rattling them like deep down.
No.
So yeah, it stinks watching a team who doesn't seem like they really care or just are going to be so chill about it. I'm like, oh no, we'll get there because we always get there. And yeah, it's not as fun or exciting to see. And I don't know. I guess you wonder if that is in the clubhouse and they're not having fun. No one has fun when they're losing.
No.
So yeah, it's been sad and like not entertaining. I don't always I'm not gonna stay up for a West Coast game to be embarrassed. Turn on the last game of the Rocky series over the weekend and I was like, okay, cool. Like they have some fight in them. They came back, tied it up, and then they just blew it. That's what I always remember about 2009 and good Yankees teams. Like they have fight and they have walk-off wins and like they have that magic. And
reliable.
I couldn't tell it doesn't have that. Like you don't have that like intangible feeling of like, oh, this is a good like magical season and like we can pull it out. It's just not there. So yeah, it's been sad.
So did you guys listen to the Boone interview yesterday?
Not yet.
What did you think about it?
I texted Jimmy after I listened to it because I always listen to them.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Yankee fan, so I feel very, very indifferent about all of it. Yeah. But I texted Jimmy, I'm so impressed with how they can navigate Boone's kind of bullshit answers.
He's the king of not giving answers.
Oh, yeah.
And saying what he
Jimmy
wants to
and
say.
Jake play that back and forth role so well.
Yeah.
They've done incredible.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Dre yesterday at the end of the day because he had listened to it. I hadn't listened to the full thing yet, but I had seen the clips and the guys were all talking about it in the office. There's only so much you can say without shitting on your players. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be losing games and lose your clubhouse.
Correct.
If he comes on and says, yeah, you know what? This offense fucking sucks and X, Y, and Z aren't playing well and we're thinking about optioning so-and-so and, you know, we're making trades because these guys stink. Like, you're going to lose your clubhouse. You're already losing games. If you start to win games, you need your clubhouse to be, or if you want to win games, you need your clubhouse to be a unit. There's only, I get people like, he's lying, he's denying, he's whatever. He's also not the only person in the organization that decides what he's going to say.
Yes.
He is a mouthpiece for so many people.
Yes.
And he has to be so careful about what he says. I don't know what... Yeah, sure, could there be more accountability for, like, we're not playing well? Could there be more straightforward, we're not playing well type answers? Yes. The, like, feeling like they're going to turn it around is delusional in my head. Like,
oh, yeah.
The vibe of the Yankees in general right now feels kind of delusional in a weird way.
I'm glad Jimmy called him out on that, too. It's, like, literally, like, statistically impossible to, like, do that.
Yeah. There's so much he's not going to say.
Yes.
Because
I agree with that.
And I feel like some of the criticism, I'm like, every manager goes out and gives those bullshit answers. Yeah. Every single manager, when their team is losing, goes out and gives the bullshit answers of, well, I am really impressed about, the way we were taking at bats, 2 strike counts. We were looking really good, or so-and-so had a great game. It's like, you're losing. They always have to find a positive. Every single manager does this. I feel like the Yankees are in such a state of, like, chaos right now, and the fan base is up in arms that they're taking every little thing he says and just ripping him to shreds.
Yes.
Every manager does this during every tough... Listen to Buck. Buck goes out there and he's like, I am really proud of our guys, that we are playing really well. On what planet are we playing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just think the way that the fans are ripping Boone for every single word he says, there's only so much he can do and say.
It could be totally different what he's saying to the press to what he's actually saying to guys either one-on-one or in the clubhouse, because I do think, and I think it's different managerial styles and maybe different generations where, again, I'll say Joe Torre, but it could be, Dusty Baker or other older guys who I think are more of a coach and like a father figure to some of these guys, where it's like if again, 2 maybe unfair examples, but like if Joe Torre came out and said, hey, Jeter's really struggling, like I'm disappointed, he needs to do this and this, I think in my head Jeter wouldn't take that as, oh, my coach is, he doesn't believe in me, like all this stuff, and take it negatively where he can't perform. I feel like, again, Jeter held Torre in such high regard where he's like, oh, if my father, my coach is disappointing me, let me work harder to impress him. So I think maybe I wonder how different managers, if they take a different angle, if they're known to be that, hey, like I have really high expectations. If you aren't meeting them, I still love you and still believe in you, but I'm going to call you out on it so you do better. and you know that this is not acceptable. And yeah, that doesn't mean that that's what he should say to the media, because you shouldn't, because I do think a coach has to be the one who's positive that people look up to. If you're in a scary situation, you say, hey, well, if he has faith, right, I can be good. I think that's how it goes in any situation. If you're the top of the food chain, you have to stay strong and not show that you're rattled or anything. So yeah, I guess I hope that he's still not following that in person, and he knows that there are ways that guys need to improve and things that have to change. It's fine if he's playing that off casually for the media and bringing up good points so that people aren't just harping on all the negative. But I hope to some degree he is saying, hey guys, like, this can't fly,
Yeah, and I mean, I would think that he would be, as most coaches and managers in that role probably are behind closed doors. But I feel like, too, what a lot of people, and obviously you guys know because you've been fans all your life, but another like added layer to being a manager on either the Mets or the Yankees is just the New York media in general. Mm-hmm. Like, not only is the fan base just like brutal, like the media is looking for something that's like salacious or polarizing or something that they can like have this crazy story. Mm-hmm. And so that's like another added layer that you have to think about. And then you have to think about like the feelings, yes, of the player, but like there's just so many like politics to it in New York baseball, it feels like. And I think in times like this, it becomes very apparent.
Mm-hmm. I think what people forget is that those managers are in charge of the feelings, personalities, jobs, livelihoods of 26 people at a time. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of personalities that react to things differently, that take criticism in different ways, that have different learning styles. We've seen, like, earlier in the season, like, Ali Marmol came out, that thing with Tyler O'Neill. Like, that was
atrocious.
But it's like, at what point is it too far? Like, did he take it too far and Boone's not taking it far enough? It's such a fine line to walk. Yeah. Where it's, okay, now you're saying too much to the media, and clearly there's things going on with the Cardinals clubhouse, have been since the beginning of the season. That's not something you want. You don't want someone that's going to go too easy on them. It's such a tough line you have to walk. And I think Boone probably does have those conversations. He alludes to tough conversations, as all managers do, behind closed doors. I feel like that's the right way to go about it. Could he be more general? Yes, we could be better. Yes, the offense is lacking. Yes, we need people to step up. Sure, but like calling out individual people also, we've seen how that can go and impact the clubhouse.
Yeah, I think that's just what defines a good manager. If you can walk that fine line and you know what makes can Donaldson handle being called out, but maybe Volpe can't, and it really is such a case-by-case basis. But this also made me think that I am at least very like grateful to be in a fan base that like does care this much and does expect that much, because I was talking to my two friends in Seattle who are diehard Mariners fans, and they said a really astute point that it was completely all them and I'm just regurgitating it, but they were like, being at a Mariners game is fans are just like reactionary. They'll like cheer when a big homer happened. They'll cheer when something happens, and then they won't care like, if they got walked off or it was a bad game or whatever, where like in New York or in Philly or Boston, like fans are cheering to make something happen. Yeah. Like they recognize a rally's about to come on. Hey, like if this guy gets on, our 4 holes up, like that can, they know all the other moving parts and they cheer for that to happen. They don't just cheer like when that hit is whatever, when that guy gets strike out. And I think that's, I've never experienced that, obviously, because I've only ever grown up in this fan base. So, you have to, and I'm sure players would obviously rather have that. So it's the give and take, and you have to deal with it when it's bad and you get all that glory when it's good. So yeah, it's just crazy that there are fan bases that aren't like this.
I mean, I use the example of when I was working for the D-backs, the hitting coaches got let go. It wasn't a story. Yeah. It wasn't a story. Like, granted, I know Sean Casey is someone that people know, and he's, it's not the same. These guys weren't in that situation. It wasn't a story. The fans didn't really even know, I don't think. Like, it was not crazy. A thing that people cared about. Yeah. And the Yankees firing their hitting coach was
headline
holy
news.
Shit, flip a table. Run to the presses. I was like, this is crazy. Like, the amount that Yankee fans care and dissect every little thing is not the average, I would say, which is I'm totally agreeing with everything
it's crazy.
You and those guys were saying, and having a comparison The hitting, I could not believe how big of news in this office a hitting coach was. I was blown away. I walked into work one day and they were like, "Oh yeah, the hitting coaches are gone." I was like, "Shit." That was at the end of the whole conversation.
So what's on the docket today?
I'm not even kidding. Like it was so unserious. Like that's so compared to this office having full blown debates and discussions about it. Just interesting. It's not It's not this way across the board.
Yeah, there's high highs and low lows. That's for sure.
It's crazy.
Well, kind of segueing into the other part of sports we want to talk about before diving into Semi Turn Pretty. Trade deadline's coming up. Mm-hmm. Do you think either Mets or Yankees will be doing anything of like notoriety or no?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll check one box off of the 12 that we need help with, and it'll be, again, the guy that checks off one half of that box. You know, like I maybe we're beyond repair, and like one mid-season trade deadline can't fix everything because it's a lot that we need, and that's just not possible. You know, Cody Bellinger's thrown out there a ton. Starting pitcher would be great. I don't know. They'll do something because I truly think like Yankee Stadium will get burned down if they don't. Like that's such a like. Look at Dan Rourke's social media.
I'm concerned about him.
Done, or like something bad will happen.
Somebody kill me and bury my body where no one will find it. If you don't follow Dan Rourke on Twitter and you're listening to this, it's worth it.
It's a gem. So they'll do something because they have to, and they know. I think they know at least that. Like, but I don't know if it'll ever be enough. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. Like that's what I kept saying in my group chat with my cousin and my uncle. Like, oh, Rodon's almost back. I said, believe it when I see it. When he pitches 6 beautiful innings, I'll be happy. But until then, he's done zilch for this team, and I don't care.
Taylor, what do you think?
I think the Mets will probably do something very similar.
Selling or
no,
I
don't think they'll sell. I think Steve Cohen has too much pride to like admit the defeat of his grand plan he's had going on. I think they could sell. What are we doing? You know what I mean? What are we doing? Get something back in return for some of these guys. I have no problem with, except Pete. Like, I don't care about the fringe people. You can get rid of David Robertson, even though he's been really good. Send him somewhere where he can thrive. Because it's not here.
Send him to better
You want to get rid of Daniel Vogelbach, Tommy Pham, hasta luego. I could not care less. Truly, I could not care less. I don't want our core guys to go anywhere. I really do. There is talent on this team.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to sell. I think they might add like one measly thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's also part of the Yankees' problematic mindset is they say, okay, we'll get 1 or 2 guys at the deadline. We have Judge coming back. We have Sevy coming back. We have all these guys coming back. Because they know that's getting to you where you started. That's
just
not
getting
improvement.
Back to square.
Right.
Yeah, they don't count as an acquisition at the trade deadline. And I think for the last many years they've been doing that.
No, that makes sense. I mean, the biggest conversation is obviously Shohei Ohtani. I got into a long conversation with Dalton about Shohei going to the Dodgers. When I tell you I was waiting for any opportunity to say, no, you're wrong. I was poking holes left and right in that whole like plan of his and threw out the Braves just kind of blindly. And then as I threw out the Braves being better for Shohei on paper, Dalton started like crunching numbers and looking at contracts and he's like, oh my God, Pax, I think you're like actually right. So with that being said, thoughts on the Shohei Ohtani like conversation? Do we think he's going at the trade deadline? Do we think he's going to be an off-season type of thing? Where are our heads at?
I think he's going to stay an Angel for the remainder of the season. And
I agree.
I also agree.
I'm 50-50 he goes somewhere at the trade at the end of the season, but I think he's staying put. I don't know why, it's just my gut.
I also think he's staying because I think the Angels are Delulu and think that they're going to be able to get him to stay longer, which is I do not believe is going to happen.
Or it's like a Rockies and Trevor story and they just like don't know what's happening and they just can't get their act together.
I think it's insane if they don't trade him. Insane. The reason I think it wouldn't work is because teams aren't going to offer enough to make it worth it for the Angels to trade him. Obviously, he is worth a lot. So if teams aren't willing to offer up the right package, I understand the Angels not wanting to let him go for not a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he walks at the end of the season, you literally got nothing. So it's another like fine line to walk. You might get nothing for the best baseball player maybe to ever live.
Yeah.
If you don't try and do something with him right now.
I think
that's the thought.
I think that's why though it won't happen, because you can't do this process hastily. Like, he is the hands down like the greatest ever. Like, this will be the most massive deal.
Yes.
I don't think it can be done. And like maybe people have been thinking about their trade package the whole entire season, knowing this maybe could be a possibility, but it just seems like this can't be done in haste, because you can't mess it up, and it's going to be so picked apart and remembered forever that I don't know if it can just be done in this period of time.
No, this is a legacy move.
I think it can. I do think teams have been thinking about it for the whole season.
Yes.
I think they started thinking about it last year.
I'm thinking about Juan Soto and like the size of the package that the Nats got in return.
Yeah.
It can be done. It can definitely be done, because I know teams have been thinking about it, because the Dodgers haven't done anything. I know we're anti-Dodger. The Dodgers haven't done anything. The Dodgers did nothing in the offseason. They added
That was Dalton's argument. Dalton's argument was the fact that they they didn't do anything, so they could do something.
I really think the Dodgers were holding out, because that's not the Dodgers. To not do anything,
I know,
is to improve their team is not the Dodgers' way of life. I think the Dodgers are holding out to be able to sign Shohei. They did nothing. But where I want them to land is Seattle.
If Shohei Ohtani goes to the Dodgers, I'm never watching baseball again.
Yeah, I was just going to say I have to stop watching baseball altogether.
I think at the very least he'd go to a friendly team that's known to get the Asian or Japanese whatever players.
So my biggest argument with the Dodgers with Dalton, and try to take my actual opinion of the Dodgers out of it and just thinking about this, the biggest thing that I said against Shohei going to the Dodgers was because the Dodgers are a win now team. Like, all of those big contracts of all of the good players are like a now. It's not a future built team. I mean, yes, they have a great farm system, and the Dodgers always have people to bring up and whatnot, but like, this Dodgers team isn't going to be the team for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And so if you're one of the best, if not the best player to ever play the game of baseball, why would you want to go to a team that has historically been built to win World Series but doesn't? Or would you want to go to a team that's being built up to win for years to come? Like, that's my biggest argument. Because, like, why am I going to sign a 7-year deal for a team that's going to have 1, maybe 2, possible opportunities to go deep?
I mean, the thing with the Dodgers is they're always competitive.
Yeah.
They've won the division many times in recent years,
yeah,
which will always give you a chance. And at the end of the day, it's going to be about money.
True.
If the Dodgers can offer him the right amount of money, there's not a lot of teams that are as competitive year after year as the Dodgers are. Granted, they have years where they don't go far in the playoffs, whatever. They have their, what if you want to call it Mickey Mouse World Series win, then whatever, that's on you. But there aren't that many teams that are going to be in the running for Shohei that are year over year as set up to be successful that year.
True.
That doesn't mean that this team is going to be the Dodgers team of the future.
Correct.
But the Dodgers always find a way to make it work. Whether that's they bring up their farm system, they trade for people, they get guys to sign there because it is a franchise that people know win. Mm-hmm. And they have the money. At the end of the day, it's going to be the money. Shohei wants to win, but it's going to be about the money.
I genuinely think if the Atlanta Braves were closer to the West Coast, I think no one else would compete with the chance that the Braves have of getting Shohei. I think on paper, I think they have the money. I think they have guys that are locked in for a long time for low contracts. They have they're one of the best teams in baseball right now. And they're going to be like one of the best teams in baseball for years to come. On paper, I just think logistically, I don't think it makes sense just with it being on the other side of the country. But on paper, the Braves make a lot of sense to get a player like Shohei Ohtani.
They're set up for their future.
Like
they are. But
I don't think he'll go there, but
again, if the Braves shelled out the money, then maybe. I think it's going to come down to the money. Shohei knows what he's worth. Mm-hmm. It's going to be about the money.
Good for him.
I'm hoping he goes to Seattle.
That's
what I
like
want.
that.
That'd be cool.
They have fun young guys that are exciting, like George Kirby, obviously Julio. Jared Kelenic has turned his career around already. They are missing something. I feel like it'd be so fun. He'd fit in wonderfully in that city and that culture and that vibe. That's what I want. I don't think the Mariners would ever pull the trigger on Shohei, but that would be my dream world. He goes to Seattle.
Yeah, it'd be a legacy for that franchise for years to come. That's for sure. All right, we got like 4 minutes left before we got to head out of here. Summer I Turned Pretty recap. First 3 episodes. I cried.
I cried like 5 times.
I cried.
What'd you guys cry at?
I don't even remember.
The breakup. Cried. I wrote notes.
I took notes
Hey,
as well.
so are we only now getting
one
every Friday?
I know. I'm not thrilled about it.
I didn't take notes, so I'll just go off what I remember real quick.
She's dead.
Music was absolutely insane. Like, I loved.
Yes, Susanna's dead. We have to start with that.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Because she was doing the trial at the end of last season.
Yes.
So, did you read the books?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I couldn't get through them. But I knew,
I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
They gave you hope at the end of last
season.
Yeah.
And like one of the opening lines, it's like, Susanna's dead. I'm like, what the hell?
What I hate the most is I hate in general in movies. This book I'm reading right now did the same thing. I hate when you start immediately in like going into a flashback. Like you're at the future and then the rest is a flashback because I'm waiting the whole entire time to get to where we are I'm always in my head puzzle piecing what has to happen, guessing what's happening to get to where we began.
I would agree.
And I think that ruins it. I hate it. But I'm still obsessed. I love it. I thought it was great. The music was fantastic. Like, yeah, maybe it was a little too spot on. Her crying in the car and driver's license.
Yo, like,
my girlfriend. I didn't care. That's what the song's made for.
It, honestly, yes, Olivia Rodrigo fits it perfect.
Like Belly and Olivia are the same person.
Did you listen to the Toast?
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to the Toast too, and I have fucking beef with them about this.
I'm the exact opposite. I think the music's perfect.
I think it fits.
All anyone talked about last year was how good the music was.
Yes.
Why would you not use Olivia Rodrigo driver's license when she's crying in the car?
In a high school breakup. It's literally the song.
Everyone's going to be upset. Well, it was snowing on the beach and she didn't use snow on the beach. What do you want? Do you want her to use the things that are spot on or do you not? Because there was the complaints that it was too spot on and then, snow on the beach and she didn't use snow on the beach.
It's like, come
on.
I
don't have a single complaint.
Stop.
They were phenomenal songs.
I have 3 specific notes about songs.
Okay.
In all caps. I wrote this while in live time.
Same.
So I just looked back and I was like, that's what I wrote. Del Water Gap. They had a Del Water Gap song. So good.
Yeah.
I heard the first note and I was like, no way. Because it's not
what
like
song is that or
pop.
what scene?
It was, I don't remember what scene it was, but it was, the song's called Ode to a Conversation That's Stuck in Your Throat.
Okay.
I heard the first note and I was like, this is off base for this, but I love it. Then I have an all caps Silver Springs.
Yes.
During the breakup at the funeral, and I heard the first note of Silver Springs, and I was like, come on. And she's so smart because that song had like a resurgence on TikTok this year, which like all the kids are learning about Fleetwood Mac, which is awesome.
Brilliant.
But that specific one of them on stage and she's singing it to him, it was a huge thing this year.
How is the person in charge of music not insanely famous right now?
I don't know.
I don't know who that is. And I don't know how that hasn't been picked up and it's praise.
And then I have Mac Miller in all caps right after that because after the funeral, it flashes forward and Jeremiah and Conrad are on the end of the dock and he's like, we're going to get the house and Mac Miller is playing. And I was just like, it was just so good.
It was so good. It was so good. Yeah, I don't have a complaint about the music at all. I'm annoyed about the whole flashback thing, and there were times I was very confused about the timeline.
Same. Yeah. I wish there was a slightly different
tone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, is Susanna dead or not? Are they together?
Yeah.
How long in between? I was very, very confused for a period of time. And overall, it's just a little bit more dark and serious than obviously the first season. And I love just how free and summer it is, but it has to happen because it can't just be a repeat of the first season. So I really don't have many complaints. Besides, I was a little unclear at the beginning, and then I think I figured it out.
Conrad is giving Edward brooding vibes in Twilight to me.
Even the first season though.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even more so now with the serious aspect. Jeremiah is so hot.
his style, that's my
Oh
note number
my
2.
gosh. The crochet,
he had like a knit polo.
Yeah.
Dude, this man.
I love those.
Whoever's styling him,
the tan,
bravo.
the hair, I'm like,
He looks incredible.
They're so tan. I'm so jealous.
My first note is Belly is stunning.
Yeah.
What a beautiful girl. Like,
the
for
bone
real.
structure.
She is stunning.
Yeah.
I can't get over it.
I think they did a really good job from season 1 to season 2, like showing her like maturity with like emotional growth.
Yeah.
Like you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate the Friends bangs and the Friends hair.
Oh,
Taylor?
She just stinks.
Taylor.
I can't tell if I like her or not. Sometimes I like her, other times
more, but her hair I cannot get over.
I can't get over it.
Awful.
And it's also like a bad box dye color. Like that vibe, don't like. Hate Milo, the boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude,
That's just weird.
I don't like it.
It's so weird.
They had to give her somebody. She clearly is going to go
With the
try and
brother.
end up with Steven. Steven's trying to end up with her. They had to give her someone that was so different than Steven for
True.
Steven to be like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
True.
this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Like it was so obvious that they
Yeah.
were going to give her someone not like Steven for her to then end up with
Yeah.
Steven.
Yeah. I think I like her more. Like the scene when her and Steven ran into each other at the bookstore and she had to fake.
Oh yeah, she's like,
and like her. Yeah, I think that acting was funny.
I have a specific note about that scene.
Okay.
And I want to know if you guys caught it.
okay.
Why did she have a venti coffee with no ice?
I noticed that. Yes, and it was literally just brown cup, not a single ice cube in it.
It was drank down
I remember
like
her
that
holding
much.
a large cup.
No ice.
Not a single ice cube.
It looked like a big ass Starbucks cup of chocolate milk. I was so
Yeah.
disturbed.
Yeah.
I wrote down
interesting.
Taylor had a venti coffee, no ice. That's one of my notes.
That's
Yes.
funny.
It I don't know why it struck me while I was watching it. I was like, we couldn't have thrown some ice in there. No
That's
one drinks
funny.
their coffee like that.
Not a single person does.
I don't even drink
funny.
coffee.
Not a single person.
I don't
was
know how you
like,
picked up on
and
that.
I was like, there's something wrong here. I have another note about her. When they go to that party, it was Steven's graduation party, I think.
Yeah.
Why? Taylor's boy... They're all yelling out there. Taylor's boyfriend is on stage singing. He is singing songs that people know. Why do none of the kids know the songs?
Well, like everyone was singing it, but she's like, "Oh, he wrote this song for me," and I'm like, "Okay, that's weird." But
That was just a weird scene.
Then he was singing "My Own Worst Enemy."
Yeah,
not
a
one
single
person was
person.
singing
They're
it.
just like,
They're all
That's
just
weird.
like, I was like, you telling me they don't know these songs?
yeah,
What's going on?
Yeah.
That got me.
that scene was kind of weird. And
It was
Steven
odd.
doing his random
Dude,
stage
right?
dive, I thought that would become more of a thing. Like she had to go hit her head. She talks to that guy. That was so bizarre.
the whole scene felt like it was just like randomly
Thrown
thrown
in
together.
there.
Yeah, that was
Like
weird.
crowd surfing. Let's have a conversation about the stars that I had with Conrad like months ago on a swing next to a random guy that spoke
they were
French to me.
trying to like one show that Steven's trying to get like Taylor's attention, and then two, give because that's when they were really starting the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Then she goes into the car, and
Yeah.
that's when driver's license, and then you're like getting into her sadness.
Yeah.
But that was all like
Of
very
course.
odd.
I I like the mom storyline. I have a feeling I'm gonna really like Belly's mom's storyline. I like that they're showing like her kind of like not failing as a mom, but like dropping the ball as a mom, but like she's struggling and like dealing with. I like where her storyline is going.
One of my notes says I love Belly's dad. He's just so sweet. When they go to that lunch,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's a
It's
good
like
guy.
I'll put the skirt, but I draw the line at the pom poms.
yeah, like he's so
Yeah.
sweet.
So nice.
I feel like I kind of want them to get back together.
They might hook
I'd be
up.
okay with that.
They'll probably hook up.
I have two notes. Of course he went to Cousins, question mark.
Yes.
Next one, of course they got a flat tire on the way.
Obviously, by a cornfield.
Like
I
so that
cried
they
in
could,
the cornfield.
yeah, when Jared was like, I
You
needed
left
you.
and
I'm
you
like,
left me. I was like tears.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so sad.
they had to have an excuse to get out of the car and scream at each other. So
Yeah.
of course they had a flat tire.
I thought they built up though that like to that point well because you could feel the tension between. Like I thought they
Yeah,
did that
he-
well.
Jared was cold but trying to act semi-normal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not be like horrible to her, but like very cold.
Yeah.
Also, the random girl at Brown in
I
the
was
green
like,
tank. I'm like,
In the dorm room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, who was the girl and where did she come from at the funeral that he was
His
lying
ex.
in her lap?
Yeah.
his
When did we
ex.
know that from?
It was casually said in their fight about like she's just. Or Belly said something like, "Oh, so you'll take comfort from her, your
Yeah.
ex, and not me."
So,
like
but,
it was
so
something
we
casual.
shouldn't have had any
No.
other interaction.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It was like one line that I was like, "Oh, that's an ex."
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when they get to Cousins and they're going into the house, and Jer like runs in and she's standing outside, and then it's her narrating, and I wrote in the quote in quotes, I don't want to see him and I can't wait for it all at the same time.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, like
I thought that
everyone's
scene was
been there.
great.
Like,
yeah,
where you're like you feel strongly two ways so strongly. I was like, and then she goes in and he's like, what is she doing here? I was like,
yeah.
I thought it was such a great line when Taylor and Steven were in the car, and I think it was Taylor that said happiness and grief can coexist. Mm-hmm. Like when she said that, for some reason it stuck with me because I was like, I feel like that's going to be the theme throughout this entire season.
Yeah, because Belly already threw that in Steven's face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're happy I'm being sad. Like, I cared about Susanna more.
Yeah. And Steven was like, I'm struggling too. I love Steven. I think he like has, his like weird things to work out, but I love Steven.
He's exactly what an older brother.
I think I like him more in this season than last.
Yeah.
And I don't miss his girlfriend at all.
Oh, I like Shayla.
I didn't really care for her.
Random. But
yeah, it was great. I'm so annoyed. I didn't realize it's gonna go one by one now.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so sad because I watched those first 3 episodes back to back to back until like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, I'm done with 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
How
I
many
breezed through them.
Is there only 7 or 8?
I don't know.
I was like, I only get 4 or 5 more.
How did they release episode 1? Did they do it the same? I mean, sorry, season 1. Like, did they do it like this and just no one cared enough at that point?
That's what I thought, that they released it all at once.
It was one by one.
But it was one by one, I think, but no one was watching it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the hype built when it was all hard.
So pretty much everyone watched it when it was the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened to me.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It's so annoying. But yeah, I think all things considered, I don't think it really let me down at all.
No, it's different from season 1 for sure, but I think it's a good we kind of expected it to be.
Yeah.
So it's just 1 year later. And the flashbacks.
1 summer later, yeah.
Like the flashbacks are through the school year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was confusing. And is Jeremiah, so remember when she was in the guidance counselor's office and she wasn't going to get into her Ivies or her big schools, and she's like, oh, the guidance counselor said like Finch, and she's like, oh, I know a person there. Is that Jeremiah?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
So it goes Conrad, Jeremiah a year, Belly a year.
Steven. Conrad, Jeremiah, Steven, Belly. Because Steven just graduated high school.
Okay. And Jeremiah's already in college.
Yeah.
Wait.
I thought it was staggered, but she said I have a friend there.
Yeah.
And
she was Conrad's at Brown.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure she was talking about Jeremiah. Because then she was like, oh, reach out to him. And she was like, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I like questioned that is because when Conrad came and visited Belly around Thanksgiving or Christmas, like out in the front when they kiss or whatever, like he said something about, Jeremiah's doing good because of prom. He just got prom king or homecoming king or something like that. So I just referenced I thought high school.
So in season 1, was Conrad already in college?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was the summer after he graduated high school.
Yeah, so he was going into college.
Football scholarship,
yeah,
remember?
He was going.
Right. He was about to go into college. So then it's his freshman year. So then Jeremiah can't be in college.
I think Jeremiah and Steven are the same age. Maybe
she was saying that Jeremiah was going to Finch, whatever.
Maybe.
Probably.
And she was like, oh, yeah, I know someone. I'll know someone there.
Maybe.
I don't know. Because I thought the same thing, but then I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Because then I assumed Conrad was at Finch, but
he's at Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, it was good.
Okay. Well, we'll circle back next week.
That's the recap.
Yeah.
And that's the recap, first 3 episodes. I feel like the season finale we should just like watch live.
It live.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll bring cheese and wine. All right, that's another episode of Girls & Co. Thanks for listening. Bye.